I'm pleased to be joined now by Alberta Premier Danielle Smith. We've just finished the 3 days of First Ministers. Premier Smith, thank you so much for joining us. I guess the first place I wanted to start was with some of these meetings. And with the Prime Minister, you and all the other premiers have to trust the Prime Minister when he sits down to negotiate with the President. Was he telling you some things today? And you don't have to reveal them, but just do you have enough comfort that you can trust him, that he's got Alberta's back, he's got the country's back, that he's going to do the right thing in his negotiations?
Well, I think we've seen for the last 18 months what his strategy has been, is that he initially, I thought, put something on the table that the Americans were quite interested in. We saw back in October, there was a discussion around an energy partnership and uranium and critical minerals, and that ended up falling apart for, there were a few things going on at that time. And I hope we can get back to that place, because I think that that's really the core of how we're going to get to a comprehensive trade agreement. Let's talk about the big things that we know that the Americans are looking to secure supplies of. We've got lots of it, and then we can work through the sectoral issues. So I think that the intensification, as he's been talking about, what we're going to see over the next 27 days as we count down to these new tariffs coming in, I think that started a clock that has created a sense of urgency, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he comes back with.
You heard me ask the Prime Minister if we can expect counter tariffs or some other measures to defend the economy. And he was saying, well, counterproductive to sort of reveal your hand. That said, is it your sense that you and the premiers and the Prime Minister are perhaps preparing some responses that we have not yet seen in this sort of ongoing trade dispute with the United States?
Well, I would say you don't go into a discussion saying you're going to punch somebody in the nose if they don't give you what you want. So I think that the Prime Minister is being wise to say, let's deal with the stages as they come. And the stage that we're in right now is that there seems to be some sense of urgency over these next 27 days to try to get to an agreement on the things of where I think we know that we can get to. We know what the irritants are from the American point of view. We also know some of the things that would be beneficial to the American economy if we can come to a deal on them. So I'm just going to watch that play out. I think that the sense of urgency that the Prime Minister expressed is, I think, the right sense to have. It would be really great to have something approaching a deal by the time we have this big international investment conference coming to Toronto in September. So that also, I think, would be one of the deadlines that we'd be looking to. But I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt that he's got the right team at the table. He's got a new negotiator, and I think that because they'd come close before, I think they can again.
You seem more than other premiers, and I think you used the term yourself, bullish about these that negotiations can lead to a resolution. I wonder why you feel that way. What do you sense something? Do you have some relationships in the United States that give you that feeling of optimism?
Well, I can tell you from our own country, when public opinion changes, politicians change along with them. I mean, 18 months ago, we weren't talking about developing more oil and gas infrastructure, and now if you look at the polling,
we got pipelines to Ontario, to BC.
Everyone is rooting for us, and I think that's a wonderful thing to see. And I can see the similar kind of thing happening in the United States, that when a recent poll suggested that of all of the policies that the Trump administration has put forward, the least popular one is tariffs on Canada. Mm-hmm. And so how come that has emerged as an issue? It's because consumers are feeling it. It's because elected representatives are feeling it. They're making their views known, and it's moving the public opinion. And politicians have to gauge that. And so that's why I think there's also a potential for some movement here. I think that the approach that has been taken isn't working for rank and file Americans. They see it, they feel it. They know that they could get cheaper homes if you could get a deal on softwood, cheaper food if we could make sure that we've got a free flow of food going across the border, cheaper products on every front if we don't have tariffs on steel and aluminum and auto parts. And so I think that message has been coming through from advocates in the United States. And because we, not just me, but all of the other elected officials have been maintaining those relationships and making that case, I think it's having an impact. And so we'll see if in 27 days if that's true or not.
Great. A couple of questions on the referendum. And the first one is, you heard a lot of premiers voice support for a united Canada. Is there a place or a role for politicians from outside Alberta, be it a premier or another federal politician? Would it be helpful to have them showing up and campaigning for Canada?
I think that there's been a lot of helpfulness that has happened from other politicians when they say, we recognize Alberta had grievances and we want to solve them. And that's all I think that we can ask for. I think the Prime Minister has said that. I have heard that other premiers have expressed support for Alberta. We've been signing MOUs. We've been signing Agreements like the direct-to-home delivery of liquor may seem like a small thing, but it's just another demonstration, I think, to Albertans that we have value, and we have things of value that people want to trade with us. So I think that I've been very happy with the approach that my fellow premiers and other elected officials have taken towards Alberta. I don't think anyone is dismissing the grievance, but I think that there is a real sense of we can identify the problems and we can solve them. And I think that's what Albertans want to hear.
Your Transportation Minister, Devin Dreeshen, was asked multiple times yesterday, how are you voting? And he wouldn't say. Yeah. And it would seem to me that if you're going to be in your cabinet, at the very least, you have to express full-throated support for Canada. Would you expect your members of cabinet to be doing that?
I think he does through his actions. I mean, he is transportation and economic corridors. And when you look at the kind of deals that he signs, he is constantly collaborating with other premiers to make sure that we can open up those transportation ties. And that's exactly what I expect him to do, is to make sure that we've got these kind of agreements and to make sure that we can demonstrate to Albertans that the province works. And I think he does that every day.
There's been some numbers out from Elections Alberta that third parties who are trying to separate, the separatists, are raising a lot more money than third parties who want to stay. Does that give you any pause? Or are you concerned about when you see those kind of numbers?
Well, I don't know. I mean, Forever Canada is the one I see the most signs of, and for some reason the elections officials have said that they don't have to disclose where they're getting their money from. So that's a bit surprising to me, and I think surprising to others. So I don't know what to make of those numbers, but things, of course, have just gotten underway, and I suppose we'll see what kind of contributions there are. There are also spending limits as well, so there's a limit to how much can be spent. But I think that it shows that there's a robust discussion on both sides. There's lots of organizations on both sides of the discussion.
Last thing I want to ask about was the Parker Wells story, or a related event to this terrible story. I know it's gripped Calgary, I think it's gripped the country. But there's been some issues around how the Amber Alert criteria is applied, and there may be some review of how that is, and I wonder if you have some thoughts at this point around that Amber Alert criteria.
Yeah, the legislation is specifically for an abduction, and little Parker is he's a nonverbal autistic boy, and he sounds like he wandered off from a care home, and so there was the officers asked if we would do an Amber Alert. We said absolutely, and so we've put that out, and it's been out for a number of days now. But we are going to have a discussion whether it's for an Amber Alert for kids or a Silver Alert for missing seniors. We have to trust the discretion of local officers. If they need to deploy that tool, then we should make sure that there aren't any legislative barriers to that. So I've already talked about that with my public safety minister.
Great. Premier Smith, thank you so much. Safe travels home.
Thanks, David.